Alright, chatos. We're back on Monster Hunter Wild topic. So, Battler News has uploaded a video 2 days ago saying that Capcom got what they deserve. So the sales just died from Monster Hunter Wilds. So let's go take a look and see how bad it is for Monster Hunter Wilds.
Something nobody...
And like I said every single time, I was correct. I was correct that this game was definitely not the one, especially for an anniversary. It's supposed to be an anniversary game to celebrate Monster Hunter's anniversary, but it really wasn't that great. So your mama's farming Monster Hunter Wilds.
expected just appeared in Capcom's latest financial report for Monster Hunter Wilds. Not even their own leadership would have expected this, because in the first month, Wilds sold 10 million copies.
Of course.
That's utterly extraordinary.
Of course.
Then came the following quarter, after its launch quarter, where it sold just 477,000 units. Obviously, that's still a lot of games, but Capcom's own board called these numbers, quote, soft.
Yeah, those are soft.
In mind, look at this latest quarter.
Let me see. Damn. Dude, Monster Hunter Rise outbeats Monster Hunter Wild, dude. That's crazy. Resident Evil 2. Oh, I just noticed. Monster Hunter Wild is the highest one. Oh, that's crazy. What?
It has sold just 160,000 copies. That is basically a third of what Capcom called soft. So that means it's fair to say that Monster Hunter Wild sales have utterly collapsed. Capcom has entered a perfect storm of problems here, where their hopes have slammed into the cold wall that is the games industry in 2025. Do you know what's really annoying though? Hacks, like say the apparent Discord story that's been breaking in the news right now.
Oh my god, you really? That's crazy. Anyways.
Here's what's wild about this story. Take a look at what else sold during the same 6 months covered by Capcom's half-year report, and you see this. The 6-year-old Devil May Cry 5 outsold Wilds.
Of course it did, because Devil May Cry 5 is still, they have a good fucking, it's a good game, right? Devil May Cry 5 when it came out is a good game, and also the memes have been keeping it alive, the modding community has been keeping it alive, and also overall it's just, isn't it, there's like really like hardcore fans that like this, that love this game, you know?
Every single Resident Evil remake outsold Wilds.
Of course, Resident Evil,
which is 2 years old, it also outsold Wilds, and even the Devil May Cry HD collection from 2018 beat it. That's insane, right? Because overall, that is every major franchise game Capcom tracked selling more than Monster Hunter Wilds, the big shiny new Monster Hunter. And that even includes the previous Monster Hunter from 4 years ago. For a taste of that, Monster Hunter Rise sold 254,000 copies this quarter. So that is the
Really? Are you really? Wait. Can I see real quick? Rise on the flip side managed 254,000 sales in the same period, a slight decline from the 389,000 sold in quarter 1. But what do you expect? It's 4 years old. So you're telling me that it has sold 254,000 units this time around.
So that is the 4-year-old game beating the new one by nearly 100,000 units, which is kind of wild. And just think about what that means. Your flagship launch is getting outsold by its predecessor. And
because number one, I'm going to be honest with you, I played Monster Hunter Rise. And I'm going to be honest with you, I actually enjoyed it a lot more. I actually probably did enjoy it maybe just a tad bit more than World, I think. Like, I enjoyed World, but the graphical standpoint. But when it came to, like, the gameplay, I think I liked it a lot more in in Rise. I'm not a huge fan of some of the changes they did with the heavy bow gun in that one. If they would have brought the heavy bow gun, like the way how you make heavy bow guns in World into Monster Hunter Rise, like some of the aspects of how to do things, certain mechanics and certain things that you do in World into Rise, I think Rise would have been a good one for me. But I still think personally Rise was a good game. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know why people were hating on it. I think people were hating on it because they jumped on the bandwagon for Monster Hunter World, but Monster Hunter Rise was a handheld title at the end of the day, and it was still pretty good.
Your entire back catalog. That's the kind of performance that should be ringing alarm bells. But actually, there's a reason why it isn't. You see, the financial report reveals a lot more than just Monster Hunter having struggles, because actually, other stuff's doing amazing. Devil May Cry just had a hyper-popular animated series release. Not all of the core fans love it, but at least it seems to have correlated with copies of that game flying off the shelves.
Yeah, of course.
Well, the digital shelves. Then there's Resident Evil Requiem's announcement that would have sparked renewed interest across the whole franchise. Street Fighter just got a Switch 2 port and a new season of characters. So ultimately, while WoW sales have utterly collapsed, and that is true, Capcom have still managed to post their highest ever unit and catalog sales. I mean, hell, their entertainment equipment division grew 378% year on year. Now, no, that's not them launching a console. It is, of course, pachinko parlors and patchy slots and all of that fun stuff over in Japan. But as for Wilds itself, I mean, yeah, those numbers are soft. Here's the sort of crazy thing. It's still the second best-selling game of the year in the US as of September. NBA 2K26
as of September. That's crazy.
Only just displaced it. And of course, it was always going to do that. It's the big sports game, and one that's really loved in America. Well, people play it. They're often angry with the company who makes it, but I mean, hey, that's not really news. Now, Monster Hunter Wilds' weak trailing sales are basically just disappointing, but they're not going to cause an overall panic at the top. Not yet, at least, because overall, the health of Capcom is actually really good. And they'll have seen the pattern, which is this. Every one of those back catalog games has a reason to be selling right now. There's external momentum, new content, platform launches. Essentially, Capcom doing something and actually getting rewarded in sales. So, what about Wilds? Why is it not getting the same boost? Why is it not getting the same boost even as people are still buying Monster Hunter Rise in droves?
Well, there's multiple things. Optimization is still shit. I heard that the balancing with the monsters or so has been is a little bit shaky. That's what I've been hearing. I don't know how true that is. Like I said, I don't play the game anymore. Like I said, it doesn't really interest me. The classes, a lot of good majority of people dislike the classes. At least some of the changes or so for some of the classes in general. There's a lot of people who don't really like it. For it being super heavy story, fucking having what's his face, Nata or whatever his name is, whatever the boy his name is called or so. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't want Monster Hunter to have this like cinematic story, because I just kind of want to just log in and just kind of like, you know, beat up some monsters, you know, transition over to the next monster, you know, let me fight the next boss basically, and just put in some lore stuff here and there like they did in like how they did in like the older previous games and everything, you know. I'm talking about the PSP era. I'm not talking about any of the Nintendo games. So, and yeah, if you want to do like a heavy story Monster Hunter type of game, just keep it in like in the Monster Hunter stories, because the game is still broken. Even Take-Two were disappointed with Borderlands 4 discount sales, and Take-Two blames the game's performance for that. Really? Didn't what's his face said that like for Borderlands 4 you need to have like Like he said that like your computer, if your computer can't run it very well, that's your fault, not the game's fault or whatever his name is, whatever the guy's name is called or so. But that's one of the things or so. That's one of the many things that are a problem with Monster Hunter Wilds. Like I think there's some stuff that I do like about Monster Hunter Wilds. I'm just like I said, right? I'm talking from the experience of a heavy bowgun class, right? And all these random people who telling me, telling me that specifically saying there are other fucking classes. You should just play other classes if you don't like that class. That's not how Monster Hunter works, okay? You telling someone to play a different class just because they're not satisfied with their own class is the most retardedest thing ever. It's basically me telling you, if you're sitting there complaining that the longsword got nerfed to the fucking ground and you don't like playing it, but that's your favorite class, I'll just tell you the same thing. It's retarded. It's just a retarded thing, and I got that. I had that comment multiple times in my videos or so, literally calling me out and saying, "Just go play a fucking different class." And I'm like, "No, I don't. I like the heavy bowgun, and that's just my favorite class in general." Specifically, like the changes that they did, like I'm gonna be honest with you, they completely nerfed the shit out of heavy bowgun in Monster Hunter Wilds. I'm gonna be honest with you. So, Take-Two are the owners of Gearbox. Take-Two must have told Randy to shut the hell up. Probably. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. I didn't buy it because it just didn't really pique my interest, to be honest. Like maybe if it goes on sale, like a really, really cheap sale or something, maybe I'll pick it up. But it's just too expensive. Too expensive for something that I'm probably not gonna be playing, in my personal opinion. So that's kind of like the gist of it. But yeah, when it comes to like, I don't know, when it comes to Monster Hunter Wild specifically, it just really did not click with me very well. Like literally, because we played the entire campaign. There's some monsters that I do like, right? From the campaign itself, but it just like we did predict because Dark sent me the Reddit thread when they data mined the game back in the beta, that there were monsters that did not show up in the final game, but instead they decided to put them as title updates, but they were originally supposed to be part of the base game, but since they got rushed and everything, they didn't have enough time to iron out the bugs and everything with the monsters that were supposed to be in the base game and decided to put them as title updates.
For the easy answer, just take a look at Steam. We see 29% positivity in the recent reviews, 48% positive overall,
Jesus.
and of course the performance problems do remain the major issue. And the promised performance plan from Capcom, well, it's not going to be kicking off fully until the winter. So
okay, so you're telling me in the winter time. So we are going to get next month. They're gonna be talking about the improvements, and I assume they're going to talk about like the actual optimization of the game itself, right? It's funny because we saw a video or so saying that they were going to talk about it in one of the months earlier, but they never did it. So they never fucking did it because we saw a video or so talking about it. So I guess they're going to do it in the winter time. So I assume it's going to be in December. I'm very curious to see in December that they're going to talk about the actual issues of the game itself,
Performance plan from Capcom, well, it's not going to be kicking off fully until the winter, so loads of the problems still exist within the game. And by those metrics alone, Monster Hunter Wilds is a bad game, right? It's got a bad review score. Obviously, no one would buy a game with a score like that, even say when it's 30% off on the Steam Autumn sale.
Jeez.
But there is a little thing that doesn't add up here, and it might be what Capcom are holding on to. Because since September's content update started, the concurrent player count of this game has actually risen, and it's now the best that it's seen in 6 months. So
isn't it September they had the Omega update, right? That's the one, right? The Final Fantasy update? Or am I confusing it for it? Like I said, I don't keep track of Monster Hunter Wilds anymore. This game is completely dead to me.
People are playing Monster Hunter Wilds more right now. they're just not convincing their friends to buy it. And with every new update, people keep on leaving negative reviews.
Yeah, because they're not really convincing their friends to buy it because the optimization is terrible, and it's not even worth, you know, for people who don't have like the high end computer to kind of like, you know, bulldoze through it. You know, it's just kind of like, that's it. Probably the FFF event boosted numbers. Yeah, no, it's literally the Final Fantasy event that just kind of like boosted the numbers. But after the Final Fantasy event, the question is if it's gonna go, you know, it's gonna settle down normally where it usually is, you know. So my curiosity is, right, let's take a look at the numbers right now, because I assume this, I don't know when he decided to look at these numbers specifically. So let's take a look at this real quick. So if we take a look at Monster Hunter Wilds, what are we doing at? So right now, only 13K players are playing right now at this very moment. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is when the Final Fantasy came out, and I think it died down. Now after they completed it, or so, of course it's gonna go downwards, of course, you know, once you're done with the event. What are you gonna do next, you know? Like, what's the next thing you're gonna do, you know? And it looks like it popped up again, and I assume some kind of event happened here, probably for people to log back in to play. And then it kind of like, basically, once everyone was done, now it's kind of like settling down and still heading downwards. But overall, the last 24-hour peak or so was 34K, which is not really that great. Let me see. How does Monster Hunter Rise? Monster Hunter Rise, just steady as always. Monster Hunter World, we are... What is this? What's going on here? Oh, they had a humble bundle. They had a humble bundle this area, so... Yeah, so specifically... Yeah. It's still pretty good. That's still pretty decently well. That's crazy how it's at 12K though for Monster Hunter World of players right now, compared to Monster Hunter Wilds.
The point where they're slowly accumulating whilst the positives are staying flat. But here's the thing. It's not just a problem on PC. We found something else out from their report, and it's that Capcom leadership expected their main audience to be in PlayStation.
So Sujimoto, the main platform is the PlayStation 5. We had to take that into account to determine whether we could achieve any initial sales figures for 10 million units. Okay, so basically, well, yeah, because originally, Monster Hunter came out on Sony on PlayStation 2 a long time ago, like super long time ago. And then when Monster Hunter World got announced on the PS4, of course that exploded like significantly because it finally came back from the Nintendo platform and everything. So like there was like a big core audience that, you know, that resonated a lot on the Sony console.
They weren't really in PlayStation. Now, Capcom blamed the PS5 prices, audiences' inability to upgrade to the console, basically a bunch of external factors. And of course,
so Capcom blames Sony for the PS5 price. Yeah, but then like the problem is like a lot of people were already in process of transitioning onto PC. So I assume a lot of the people from the Sony side of things and the Xbox side of things were transferring over to PC. Which unfortunately, PC will... unfortunately for Capcom, it doesn't look like PC is their main core, you know, their main core audience. They're catering towards the Sony audiences, so
The actual console versions of this game do perform well. They're technically solid. But for some reason,
well, the only reason why it's technically like not in shambles like the PC version is because all the hardwares are the same. PC has different variety of hardwares. That's why they pushed it out and they rushed it out the window or so to get it on PC to meet sales figures. And unfortunately, you know, all the PC players took shit. Capcom basically hit us with the "if you're broke, boy, just say so."
people still aren't buying them. Instead, Capcom are left with the majority of sales being in PC. So here's the real question that's facing Capcom. Has WILDS already reached most of its addressable market? Has it actually just sold so well in its first month that everyone who would care has already got it? And that the
Yep. It definitely blew up or so. Because of, well, number one, multiple streamers. Asmongold, definitely when he played Monster Hunter World, made it blow up, and then he played Monster Hunter Wild, that also blew up as well. But then, you know, once you have beat it or so, it just kind of like dies down. You know, the funny thing about it, has Asmongold ever came back? Has he ever came back to playing Monster Hunter Wilds anymore? Question mark. I know that he was playing the Digimon game.
pool of PS5 owners who would be interested in the game is just way smaller than Capcom basically hoped for. And well,
no, definitely. I think now it's a lot smaller because I assume a lot of people transition from the console to PC because number one, you got to pay subscription to pay online. You got to pay for the game. You got to pay for the console, and then on top of that, they have rose the prices on the console. They have rose the prices on the Sony subscription thing. And it's just better to play it on PC because all you have to do is just buy a PC, pay for internet, and you get online access to games without paying a subscription, you know? That's it. Told you, being in the main spotlight is not a good thing for Monster Hunter. Yeah, because they're definitely, yeah, this is the one thing. Look, like I said, I have no problem for new like Monster Hunter babies, like Monster Hunter hunters, like new hunters to come in, like little baby hunters to come in and play the game, you know, and you know, and build the community even more, make the community even bigger and stuff like that. But the problem is like they were trying to like literally trying to cater everybody, like literally straight up everybody. Like they're trying to grab everybody in their ecosystem. But unfortunately, the saying goes, if you're trying to cater to everybody, you're not catering to nobody at all. As someone who's a hardcore veteran from the older games, I'm talking about PS2. I am from the PS2 era of Monster Hunter, okay? We had King from the PSP era. Dubstep, what I don't remember what specific Monster Hunter did you get into, so I know one of my audiences were in the Nintendo era, the first generation in the Nintendo era, when it came to when they stopped going on the PSP and transferred over to the Wii, question mark, yeah, the Wii. And yeah, so like there's a lot of things that I like about it, but then there's just so many changes I just have no idea where they're going with this. I'm from Monster Hunter World. Okay. I'm from Monster Hunter Tri. Okay, got it. Okay, so we do have a few variety of people here, because like from specifically from like the core aspect is there, but they definitely what's the word they what's the word when like they kind of like damn, what is it again? Most devs can seem to have a good balance of standard features and old and streamline. There you go. That's the word. Streamline features. Most streamline too much. Yeah, I think they went too far on the streamlining on a lot of things. And at that point, it just didn't really feel like you were hunting a monster, you know? I'm first fleet. All you frauds down here, fake fans. The fuck are you talking about? Literally the PS2 one is the first fleet. Only ones I played before World and Rise was Try, Monster Hunter 3U, Monster Hunter 4U, and Monster Hunter G, which were all Nintendo. Yeah, I played the original Monster Hunter, and then I played the back on the PS2, and then I played the Monster Hunter Freedom 2, and then Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, Monster Hunter Portable, the Japanese version of Monster Hunter Portable, and I've never played the Nintendo ones because number one, I was poor, and also these people telling me, I got this comment or two specifically on my video when they literally said, "Oh, this person doesn't know what they're talking about because they only played at the Nintendo one." No, I did not. That just means you didn't watch the video, and it just kind of like exposes you immediately. So, number one, there was like no story. Okay, was there lore in between? Like, was there lore explaining like the monster or stuff like that? Yeah, of course. There's lore in it, but there was no story. Okay, let's just be honest here. If you thought there was a story in Monster Hunter, it, I guess I must have been pressing the skip button consistently, to be honest, because I didn't see no goddamn freaking story or so. All I know specifically from the older Monster Hunter games, like there were volume books, there was like text for lore for specific monsters on the quest, who posted the quest, and other stuff specifically when it came to Monster Hunter. And then there'd be a cutscene or so when you go into the specific area or the zone where the monster is supposed to spawn, and that's kind of like the gist of it. That's it. That is basically is what Monster Hunter is to core. It's just Monster Hunter is just a boss fight gauntlet. That's it. You just fight one boss, and then you move on to the next one, and then you move on to the next one, and you move on to the next one. That's just how it is. And then unfortunately, with Wild specifically, they focused way too much on the story, especially for Nata or whatever his name is. Honestly, the Nata kid needs to go. Like just stop. You know, if you want to make a story, just keep it in Monster Hunter Stories. I think Monster Hunter Stories is a perfect game for you to tell story, lore, anything related about monsters. And then Monster Hunter, the Monster Hunter game itself, just keep its identity the way how it is. Always try to experiment new mechanics and new gameplay stuff. You know, I don't mind new gameplay or mechanics in general. I call him Shonen Kid. Yeah, the Shonen Kid. Yeah, you're right. I kind of prefer Monster Hunter where the lore was what we had to make a story up. It was fun reading people making theories, but now there's a proper story. Yeah, lots of stuff are just thrown down the drain. Yeah, that's kind of like the gist of it. I kind of like that because it kind of gives like the whole Dark Souls vibe, you know? Like I want Monster Hunter, like the main core game of Monster Hunter, to be like the Souls-like game, you know? Where there's like lore and like, you know, stuff that you find, the weapons that you make, the description of the monster, like the way how its ecosystem is, the way what it eats, you know, or the quest, whoever tells the guild to make a quest or so, to post a quest to slay a monster, have the description, have like a lore or so, who made the quest and stuff like that. And also, I'll be honest with you, a lot of people who called me out or so, literally saying that the guild hub, right, the guild hub were the people, what was it again? I think I forgot the wording specifically. I think what I said specifically that the guild hub is not the one that makes the quest. It's people who request the guild hub to make a post for the quest, because in the descriptions they tell you specifically who wanted this to be a quest, like slay a monster because of village or something. The only time that the guild hub makes a quest specifically directly from them specifically, it's world ending or cataclysm quest. Like we're talking about like Fatalis, we're talking about whatever doom ending monster it is that's gonna like doom the entire planet or doom the entire nation or so. The guild is the one that actually makes the quest itself. 9 times out of 10, all the other quests specifically that the guild hub makes or so are posted from other people. So Monster Hunter has been doing a story progression since World. Then Rise doubled down, and you guys Wild tripled down. Yeah, it's been like I thought personally like, yeah, the story wasn't great. Like it's not like amazing or so in Monster Hunter World or so. Like I said, I liked some aspects of it, but when it came to World, I thought it was like, all right, it's okay, it's an okay balance. Just reduce certain aspects of the story, in my personal opinion, and then Rise was going a little bit more heavier. I was just kind of like, okay, all right. And then Monster Hunter Wild kind of like went even further, and I was just kind of like, it's just like, okay, you're going to a different direction that you should not be going, in my personal opinion. You should be coming back to what makes Monster Hunter, okay? And all these people who say like they really love the story and all this other stuff, no, please no, stop. Okay, if you want a story specific Monster Hunter, go play Monster Hunter Stories. That's it, just that, because that's the reason why they have 2 different games. You got Monster Hunter Stories, where Monster Hunter Stories is all about the story, the lore, the history about Monster Hunter, while the main game of the Monster Hunter game is all about, gauntlet fighting, boss fighting, tidbits of lore here and there, and you can piece the story together however you want to do it yourself. Like just like how like Dark Souls has like lore and stuff when it comes to like items, weapons, quest items, and all this other stuff. That's kind of like the gist of what I want with Monster Hunter, like the main Monster Hunter title game. If you want your story and you want a beginning and ending of a story or so, and a twist and whatever other stuff, go play Monster Hunter Stories. That's why it's there. That's the reason why they created it, because they wanted more story heavy focus type of thing. I'm just not really a huge fan of what they did with Monster Hunter Wild, especially with the story. And then it's just one really annoying freaking, really one annoying side character that hopefully we'll never see him again. So, because if there's a such story now, I really don't want to go down the World of Warcraft route. Oh boy, from what my brother told me, it's just constant retcons over and over to the point there's nothing to invest into a story. We'll see, to be honest.
It's not on PS4, which has still got a humongous install base. So that's not the only headwind. Wilds, of course, is lacking the external marketing catalyst that boosted Devil May Cry, right? There's no Netflix series dropping. And I guess without a much cheaper price point, they're basically stuck. They've got to fix the PC complaints, slash prices, and wait. But beyond that,
to be honest, if they try to make us, I guess you can. There has been like animations in the past or so where they made like Monster Hunter stories, quotation mark stories, right? But I feel like they're not great. Like they're not really that great. Like they're okay. But the problem is with Monster Hunter specifically, you have like hours, like hundreds and thousands of hours of like Monster Hunter, content in a game, and you're trying to make a movie in a 1 hour-ish, maybe 2 hour-ish time frame for an animation. not really the best way to do a lot of things because you're going to be cutting out a lot of stuff, to be honest. Monster Hunter Wilds anime with a shonen kid will revive the game. No, it will not. It would probably annoy the shit out of a lot of people.
It seems their options are limited, and that this game has hit its launch goals, but it just hasn't hit them where they planned to hit them. Okay, look at the bets Capcom made. They planned PlayStation as the flagship platform for this game. But this generation of consoles is barely outpacing the previous generation.
Yeah, so nearly 5 years and the PS5 sales remain neck to neck with the PS4. PS5 is just 1.2 million units behind PS4. Launch aligned, but Sony expects to sell fewer consoles this year. Yeah, because they decided to raise the prices for the fucking Sony console again for some random apparent reason. That's not even a PC, you know?
Consoles, and the PS5 audience that they expected basically doesn't exist yet. It does exist, there's just not as much of it.
And yeah, no, they exist. They definitely transition over to PC because it's just like, why? Sorry, still dying, of course. The problem is like a lot of them just are tired of the price raises from Sony, and why not just pay for internet, buy a computer, and then, you know, then that's it. You know, just buy a computer setup, pay internet, and then you can buy the game there, and then you don't have to pay for online subscription or anything, and you can even mod the game as well to your heart's content.
Meanwhile, a lot of other things have changed. Younger generations are spending 25% less in games this year, and one study suggests—
Well, yeah, of course, because they can't fucking afford it. That's the reason why. Fucking video games has become it's not a hobby anymore. It's a rich person's hobby now. It's expensive. Fucking Monster Hunter, what is it? Monster Hunter Wilds, when it initially came out, what was it, like $70 or something like that, right, chat? And then like the deluxe edition or so was like what was it? Was it like 100 or something? I'm not too sure. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, 70 for the base game. The deluxe was 89, and then the premium deluxe edition was 110. Yeah, about roughly there or so.
Younger generations are spending 25% less in games this year, and one study suggests that 63% of players are buying fewer than 2 games a year.
Yeah, because it's fucking expensive. It's $70 per game. Sometimes some games are 80, or fucking Nintendo charging a shit ton of money or so for their games. Like, now in this day and age, it's like, it's expensive to buy, because like, even sometimes I don't even buy 2 games. Sometimes I don't even buy, maybe, depending on the game itself. But like, I mostly spend probably more on the smaller, fewer games now, on like mostly on indie games, because I have indie games that I bought. I think just I'm about to buy like 3 or 2 indie games in total, and the pricing of it is like 20, less than 25. While one single game, you know, Monster Hunter, was not great, and you spent basically 70 on it, and you really didn't get your money's worth.
Basically, people buy things they absolutely want at launch, but otherwise they just wait for deeper discounts and not spending as much money. And we can see that games have a long shelf life now. I mean, in this story, Capcom's back catalog pretty much proves that. And that creates another problem. If the prior game has got more content, solid performance, and costs less, why upgrade? Why buy the new one? I mean, Rise at full price still—
And not even just that as well. The mods for this franchise is also pretty strong. People won't transition to PC, not when how PC optimizing is doing. People won't spend extra, and the game runs worse slash the same on their console. Yeah, but the problem is that Sony has raised the prices on the subscription. Sony has raised prices on the console. Sony has raised prices on their games as well. Do you think an average person is going to actually, like, your normal Joe Schmo is gonna spend What is it? What's the pricing on a PS5? Like 700 brand new in a store? Escape from Duck Off when? Like that game specifically is famous, you know? Like at the end of the day, you know, people will probably just buy the other Monster Hunter game and just kind of like, you know, they'll probably just buy the other ones and mod it and just have a more longer shelf life compared to buying Monster Hunter Wilds, which number one, they haven't fixed the optimization. So what's the point of, you know, what's the point of even buying it? Dark ain't lying, the amount of troubleshooting you got to do now. Yeah, I know, I understand, but the problem, you're not looking at it on an actual normal person who's gonna buy a console. Do you think they're gonna drop 700, 600, or yeah, 600 to 700 on a fucking console, on a PS5 console? Plus paying subscription on top of that? I don't think they would, to be honest. Yes, because the choice of average Joe now is a runnable or a faulty port. No, because you can just buy a pre-built computer at this point, you know? Like you can just buy a pre-built computer that's probably like well, depending what the pricing is for everybody, of course. You can just probably buy a pretty decent, you know, pre-built computer, and then it'll still run you some really good games at the end of the day. So
undercuts Wilds with a 30% discount. And that says to me that 30% is just not enough of a discount to actually move the needle psychologically. And perhaps it's the case that with games, generally speaking, being more expensive now, yeah, you got a 30% discount, but the principal number is of course starting off being a lot larger. So that basically
for a decent PC, it's around 800 to 1,000. Yeah, you know, you just pay for a decent computer.
Basically means, I think,
I'd be very curious to see what my YouTube audiences think about if they are willing to spend what is it, 700 on a console plus the subscription plus the game on top of that for Monster Hunter Wilds. I'd be so curious to see what they think. Or they're just going to be rather use that money and just buy a PC and just play it on PC, even though it's not running that great, right? But what do they prefer, to be honest? Yes, they will pay for the console and find PC intimidating, and the coach gaming. You know the old excuses. I don't know.
Sales could take longer
because a lot of younger audiences can't afford new games now, because it's a rich person's hobby to begin with. So I assume a lot of them would be already probably transitioning over to PC or already are on PC.
Would have used to, and then maybe they need more external catalysts like new platform launches or big transmedia narrative things to actually get a game back into people's minds. So what we see is that launches can still succeed at reaching core audiences, the people who will just buy on brand alone. But everyone else actually needs convincing, and it seems the games industry has got to
my
fight
mind is foggy at the moment.
quite a bit harder than in the past.
Hey Gloria. Hey Raiders.
And that is why Capcom can't easily expand beyond the audience that they've already reached. Basically, the industry in 2025 is
my mind is foggy at the moment.
Oh, double raid. Wasn't expecting that, to be honest. Hello, Jiggly Bear. Supermarket Simulator. I see. Hey Raiders, how you guys doing?
So what can Capcom actually do about any of this? Well, there is of course fixing up the PC performance issues. That will help the Steam reviews, and maybe once that's done, it'll be time to do the deeper discounts. And I think the deeper discounts will actually be needed.
The problem is if they will be able to solve the problem of optimizing Monster Hunter Wilds, because it is taking a lot longer to optimize Monster Hunter Wilds compared to Monster Hunter World.
Move that sales needle. That's just how visibility works in Steam. But I think that's not the real lesson of today. We need to look.
The thing that people don't care, they just want a game to run, even at the cost of paying at extra. To be honest, look at the price increase of PC hardware. Let's just say you upgrade your PC every 5 years. The cost around the same as a console with subscription. So you're gonna be paying like what, depending on the subscription or so. I don't know how much is for Sony subscription now. Let me see. How much is for a Sony PlayStation Plus? I think it's PlayStation Plus, right? So 80. You'll be paying 80 a year. You'll be paying 80 a year. It says right here 80 or so. I'm not too sure if that's actually correct, but yeah. 80-ish a year. And what? So let me see. So 80. Let's see. How much does a PS5 cost now? Okay, so you have a different variety. So if they want the pro version, right? Let's say they want the pro version. $99, and then hold on. Hold on, give me a second. And then we do another 80 on top of that for the game itself. So you're spending a total about like $879.99 for the console, and that's not even counting extra accessories or anything like that. So, or if you're gonna buy a second game or something like that, no, this is the pro version with the console and the subscription. People are willing to pay more for convenience. It kind of really depends on the certain individual, but I think that audience is a little bit smaller now compared to before. Hey Hazu, it's definitely a lot more smaller compared to how it is now. Because remember, right, we're talking about the younger audience right now. The younger audiences are not buying these video games. They're not paying the console and stuff like that. So, and that's just kind of like, you know, that's just kind of like the gist of it, you know.
Look at what's actually happening, where across premium games, people have got more choices than ever, and in many cases,
that is true. There's a lot more choices when it comes to video games in general. Expedition 33, very good game, to be honest.
better games. And they've also got less money. So outside of hardcore player bases, people are buying fewer games. We've seen a lot of surveys and a lot of data to suggest that. And that just means fewer chances being taken without some form of...
Yeah, because now in this day and age, there's a lot of people getting laid off. There's a lot of people not getting jobs, or so they can't get a job. It's a lot harder to find a job. It's a lot harder to get a job. People don't have money anymore, or people have very limited money. People are just buying fewer games. Do you think that they are going to be willing to pay that amount of pricing for a console with subscription and the game itself in today's economy? Okay, you got to remember, in today's economy, it's not the same how it used to be before. You can say that same argument before, and I would agree with you. But now it's a lot more different now these days. Now the question is, would you be willing to drop that much money for it?
External push to poke your little human psychology to, you know, go and actually click the button and buy the game. So in that world, it'll be about the slow trickle of sales for years and years to come. That's basically Capcom's reality. And I
think the sales for Monster Hunter Wilds for each quarter is going to be even less and less and less.
Other games prove it, and actually prove it in a good way. And the funny thing is, there's been this long-standing theory that gaming is recession-proof because, in a way, it's leisure and generally it's pretty good value for money leisure. But 2025 is actually testing that theory. And the question is which part of gaming it will actually apply to. Will it apply to premium AAA launches like this that are a big upfront cost? Or would it apply more to live service games where it's death by many financial cuts? Now, the good news for Capcom is they can still rely on massive launch bumps and then real good long-tail catalog sales. That's a business model that's great when you've got a deep back catalog like their one.
Yeah, of course.
Smaller publishers, smaller developers, well, they may not last long enough to appreciate that. You guys would be shocked if you knew it how many times a game studio goes bust, and then those royalties just go to the publisher.
Well, it's because they make shitty-ass games at the end of the day. You know, Expedition 33 has been doing pretty well. And, you know, if you make a good product, it's going to sell very well. And as also on top of that, if you're going to, they'll be price gouging, you know, like fucking Randy Pitchford for fucking Borderlands 4, saying that, like, you know, he's like trying to compare. So back in like what, the 80s or 90s or something, he's like, oh, I used to save up for my video game or so back then or so. So if I can do it, you can do it now. It's just not the same. Borderlands 4 is for premium gamers. It's such a stupid logic to do the comparison for that, to be honest.
Pretty dog-eat-dog world. And if you'll pardon an unhinged segue, the biggest of those dogs is your boy Jeff and Amazon. And Amazon have some fresh slop for you. And it's not just any slop, it's Snoop slop. You can learn all about it.
No, yeah, I heard that they killed the MMO. But yeah. Killed for AI slop. But yeah. Anyways. But yeah, it's kind of like, this is kind of like the gist of it for me specifically when it comes to Monster Hunter Wilds in general. Like, it's definitely going to still sell, but it's going to start going down in sales significantly every quarter, their financial quarterly thing. So to the point, who knows, maybe the older games might start rising up or so in pricing. Because at the end of the day, for me specifically, because there's only like 2 franchises that I would only pre-order. Well, technically there's 3, but one of them I don't really consider it as a AAA game personally. Kingdom Hearts and Monster Hunter. Those were the only two franchises that I would pre-order. Unfortunately, Monster Hunter Wilds has shit the bucket, and I'm not going to pre-order the next Monster Hunter game until way later, to be honest. I can never get into New World. Tried playing with a friend, but it was still mid for me. Yeah, even Asmongold said it wasn't really that great. It was just mid. It wasn't really that super great either. So, it took a while to fix certain things or so apparently, and that's how it kind of like went down pretty quickly with the game. But yeah, that's kind of like the gist of it. But yeah, that's like my own 2 cents when it comes to Monster Hunter Wilds and weird Monster Hunter people trying to police me or trying to tell me play a different class or like tell me that I'm wrong or so, even though I played those games and I know those games a lot more than they do, and then calling me that I played only the Nintendo ones, which clearly I've said it multiple times that I did not play any of the Nintendo games because I was poor and we couldn't really afford games. We couldn't really afford consoles. So yeah. But yeah, overall, that's kind of like pretty much it anyways. But that's kind of like the gist of it though. I think Monster Hunter Wilds is subpar, pretty mid, pretty kind of like middle of the road kind of Monster Hunter game. There are some things I like. There's some things I dislike. So it's just kind of like stays in the middle. And that's kind of like generally it. But anyways, that's the end of the video. And peace. Yeah, now you know, Hazu, you gotta do it